Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim ufros aleinu Sukkot Shalom Echad Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shalom Echad Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'ha'amideinu Shomreinu L'chaim
Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamideinu Malkeinu L'chaim Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamideinu Malkeinu Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamideinu Malkeinu L'chaim Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom V'hamideinu Malkeinu L'chaim
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו.
Ya'aleh v'yavod v'yagia v'yeroeh v'yeratzeh v'yishama v'yipokeh v'yizacher zichroneinu v'gdoineinu oy v'zichron avoseinu. Ya'aleh v'yavod v'yagia v'yeroeh v'yeratzeh v'yishama v'yipokeh v'yizacher zichroneinu v'gdoineinu oy v'zichron avoseinu. Mashiach, and David Adecha, Zichron Yerushalayim Nirpachecha, Zichron Kol Beis Yisrael, Lefonecha Lefleita L'Torah, Zichron Mashiach, and David Adecha, Zichron Yerushalayim Nirpachecha, Zichron Kol Beis Yisrael, Lefonecha Lefleita L'Torah.
Na 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 na.
Ya'aleh v'yavod v'yagia v'yeroeh v'yeratzeh v'yishama v'yipokeh v'yizacher zichroneinu v'gdoineinu oy v'zichron avoseinu. Ya'aleh v'yavod v'yagia v'yeroeh v'yeratzeh v'yishama v'yipokeh v'yizacher zichroneinu v'gdoineinu oy v'zichron avoseinu. Zichron Mashiach, and David Adecha, Zichron Yerushalayim Nirpachecha, Zichron Kol Beis Yisrael, Lefonecha Lefleita L'Torah. Zichron Mashiach, and David Adecha, Zichron Yerushalayim Nirpachecha,
We ask Hashem, please let us be favored, let us be heard, and consider the memory of our avos. Remember Mashiach ben David, and remember your holy city of Yerushalayim, and remember us, your entire people, your nation Israel, for good things, for deliverance, for goodness, and for life, and for peace.
בזיכרון משיח, בדוד עבדך, בזיכרון ירושלים בעיר קודשך, בזיכרון כל עם בית ישראל, לפניך לפלטה בטויבו. זיכרון משיח בן דוד עבדך, זיכרון ירושלים עיר קודשך, זיכרון כל עמך בית ישראל, לפניך לפלטה לטויבו. לפניך לפלטה
Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
وشنك مسك في بنا لكن من يوم بيلا ويلا بارو خطرنا كلون ملك والله جسني بتسمو بارو خطرنا كلون ملك والله جسني بتسمو.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, שנתת בי, שנתת בי. טהורה היא, טהורה היא.
הללו את אדוני מן השמיים, הללו במרומים, הללו כל מלאכיו, הללו כל צבאיו, הללו שמש וירח, הללו כל כוכבי אור, הללו שמי השמיים והמים אשר מעל השמיים. יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו, ויעמידם לעד לעולם, חוק נתן ולא יעבור. יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו, ויעמידם לעד לעולם, חוק נתן ולא יעבור. הללו את אדוני מן השמיים, הללו במרומים, הללו כל מלאכיו, הללו כל צבאיו, הללו שמש וירח, הללו כל כוכבי אור, הללו שמי השמיים והמים אשר מעל השמיים, והמים אשר מעל השמיים, והמים אשר מעל השמיים. יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו, ויעמידם לעד לעולם, ולא יעבור. יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו, ויעמידם לעד לעולם, חוק נתן ולא יעבור.
Join us. welcome. Shalom, shalom, l'rachok va l'karov. Welcome and peace to everybody who's here, whether you have been far or you are near. You are welcome here. That's a quote from the prophet Isaiah. We'll hear more from him tomorrow. Not all of it's so nice. Whether you came here from far away, like actually you are here from Florida, or are tuning in from Dallas or Quebec or Seattle or Scottsdale, Arizona, or Alexandria, Virginia, welcome, welcome. And if you just drove here from Glencoe, Mazel Tov, you made it. Welcome. If you walked here or biked or CTA'd or divvied, welcome everybody. However you arrived here, you are now here. You can, if you're online, greet each other, tell each other who you are and where you are, settle in. You'll be davening together for a long time tonight. And if you're here, like take a moment, look around with your eyes and your smiles beneath your mask, greet each other. Traditional greetings for Yom Kippur include Som Kal, which means an easy fast if you're fasting, or Gemar Chatima Tova, which means may you be inscribed and sealed for good this year. Welcome to those of you who have been far emotionally, and for whatever reason, you are back in community tonight with us here. Welcome. Is there anybody who is here for the first time? Want to like raise your hand, put your hand in the air. Yay, and welcome, welcome to you. It's kind of a big deal. A little note about hearing accessibility. One thing is when we're speaking, if you could make an effort not to walk in front of our ASL interpreters, that would be wonderful. And two, if you're having a hard time hearing and you want a hearing assistive device, either because you've got a cochlear implant or a hearing aid, or just having a hard time hearing, at the info desk, we actually have devices that hook into the mic system and will make it easier to hear. And thank you for the generous person who made that possible. Okay, so in a moment, we are going to stand and enter into the sacred and haunting and powerful tune of Kol Nidre. And we will commence a full day, which of course begins at night because we're Jews. And this day will begin of reflection and reconnection with ourselves, with each other, with God. And, you know, I often, when referring to God, mean the character named God in the Torah. That's not actually what I mean in this moment. What I mean in this moment is actually reconnecting with the universal presence who holds us all in love and compassion, even as we have fallen short of our highest ideals, who calls us back again and again and gives us the strength to change. Rabbi Alan Liu says that Kol Nidre begins with the assumption of heartbreak, with the assumption of heartbreak, that each one of us shows up with some kind of unresolved loss, or worry, or sadness, or thing left undone, or even just the simple awareness of our being finite on this earth. And Kol Nidre gives voice to that heartbreak from its first note. And then the rest of Yom Kippur is an invitation to lean gently into that heartbreak and to explore it and allow yourself to open to insight and the possibility that it might be your teacher, and allow yourself to be transformed and moved from the inside out, which is important because so much of our lives outside of this space are spent trying to heal what is broken inside with things from the outside, trying to use external things to fix what's actually going on inside. And so tonight and tomorrow, we try our absolute best to abstain from all of those external things, food, drink, fancy stuff, fancy lotions, fancy perfumes, fancy clothes, sex. That's on the list too of things that we use to try to fix things that are broken inside. all of it, says the Jewish tradition, we take off the canvas and we make today about seeing what happens if we are just with each other, with ourselves and with each other, and with our hunger and our thirst and our irritability, being under-caffeinated, with the trees and the grass and the sunshine and the museum and our thoughts. And we say thank you to this tradition for giving us this protected space to explore that inner terrain, which is so personal, and yet it really, really helps and makes a difference to do it in community together. So thank you all for coming out tonight to be here for us and for one another, and of course, for yourself. So I want to invite you to stand, and I'll invite Oberon and Michelle to come up. Oberon and Michelle are members of last year's Exploring Judaism class. They spent this past year studying and claimed their place among the Jewish people this past year. And in a moment, we will open the Ark, and you will hold these Torahs as we sing the words of Kol Nidre. Before we do that, I want to ask us to just take a moment to close your eyes and arrive in mind and body, and ask yourself, what is your hope for this day, for yourself? What is your intention for yourself? Who is the person you hope to be here? And we can open our eyes, and we will open the Ark. Yeah. And if you get tired, pass it to somebody else. Okay. I forget that you can hear everything I say. Veshiva shel mala, uveshiva shel mata, al dat hamakom, ve'al dat hakahal, anu matiri, lihitpalel, Imavayani.
Kol Nidre Vesare Acharame Ekoname Vechinuye Vikinuse Dindana Udeshtabana Acharina Vediasanan Allah Shatan מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה. כולו יכרת נפשו, כולו יאושר שריקים, בטלים ומבוטלים לשרירים ולקיימים. נדרנה לנדרה ואסרנה לאסרה. שבועתנה לשבוע. קול נדרה ושרה ואחרנה וקוננה וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות דינדנה ודאשתבנה ודאחרינה ותיעשנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה. כולו יכרת נפשו, כולו יאושר שריקים, בטלים ומבוטלים לשרירים ולקיימים. נדרנה לנדרה ואסרנה לאסרה. ושבועתנה לשבוע.
If you haven't been singing with us thus far, I invite you to join us one last round.
Kol Nidre Yom Kippurim Seh, Yom Kippurim, Aleinu Letova, Kulo Yicharat Nafeho, Kulo Yehosharan, Betelim umevutalim, L'Sherim V'L'Kayamim, Nidrana Nidre, V'Sarana
ונשלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, לגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכל העם הזה בשגגה. סלח נא לעוון העם הזה, כי גודל חסדך, כאשר נשאת העם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. If you've heard me speak before, you've probably heard that I have a bubby who loves to say the Shehechianu. She says it for everything, at holidays and good moments, and also on good cookies, and also on beautiful sunsets. And I still think even she could say the Shehechianu more, because it's not just about celebrating this moment. It's also about celebrating all of the moments that made this one possible. All of the people who put in work
to get food to our mouths, and all of the things that we did to make it possible for ourselves to access that food, and all of the people that we brought together to share those meals with, all of the work that leads to the moments in which you want to say Shehachianu are also holy. So as we say Shehachianu, I want to invite you to bring everything, the good and the bad and the not quite sure where that lands on the scale, to this tent tonight, to bless the fact that all of that brought you to be right here, right now with us.
Amen, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Let's do it again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. And Shehachianu for all the time that Matthew Ellenwood put into learning Kol Nidre for his first time doing Kol Nidre. That was exquisite and moving and powerful. Thank you. We'll stay standing as we go into Baruch. We can face east. Ay, 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 את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם. We can take a seat. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהים מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב הרבים בחוכמה, פותח שערים ובפניו משנה עתים, מחליף את הזמנים, מסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם בהכיר כרצונו. Oh my goodness. Fist bump on the fist. How does that feel? Are you okay? Oh my God. Wait a second. Are you okay? How about a round of applause for these Jews who just held a Torah for like 20 minutes? You can relax now. Go sit down. Uma'avir yom, umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Ay, 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 Baruch atah Adonai אהבת עולם, בית ישראל עמך, אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים. אותנו לימדת, כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך. נשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו, באורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה. ואהבתך, אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. איי, 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 איי. איי, 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 איי. ברוך אתה אדוני, עולמו ישראל.
So I'm a big fan of Marie Kondo. I spend a lot of time folding my laundry. But her approach to organization, it really begins by taking each object in our closets, in our cupboards, in our drawers to see which bring tokimeku, a pleasant feeling of satisfaction or happiness. And if it doesn't, we get rid of it. Here is the really important part of this process. Before we dispose of an object or donate it, we take it, we hold it close to us, and we remember who gave it to us, or we remember why we bought it, and we say thank you. We say thank you for the purpose that it served or the purpose it was supposed to serve, and all the memories that it might hold. The Marie Kondo method, I think, is actually a great parallel to the work we're engaging in right now on Yom Kippur. We begin by gathering all of the regrets and the excuses and the broken promises and abandoned resolutions of this past year. All those things that no longer bring us that feeling of tokimeku, that don't spark joy anymore. We take a moment to acknowledge the reasons for all of this spiritual clutter. I meant well. I was too busy. I said yes to too many things. I was hurt. I was mistaken. I set standards that were too high. I held myself and each other to expectations that were unreasonable. And then we begin to let go, piece by piece by piece, stripping away all the things that no longer serve us, creating that space within ourselves for forgiveness and for growth. We begin to recognize that what makes us us is not our job or our education or our earning potential or the place we live or the food we eat or the clothes we wear. We also strip those away too. One by one, we let go of each of these things to uncover the joyful spark, that pleasant feeling, that satisfaction of our humanity, fragile as it is and limited, but also filled with this amazing potential. The thing that makes each of us unique, yet also makes us all the same, that connects us and unites us as one. That thing that also connects us to every human being that has ever lived, every human being living now, and every human that will live. So I invite you to connect with that now, that feeling of togetherness, and we as one, taking a deep breath for every word of the Shema, recite these words together. We'll also, because it's Yom Kippur, say the next phrase, Baruch Shem, aloud, sending that energy, that oneness into the universe as we create this space.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. It's just a chant. It's just this one line. ואהבת. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. You will love ואהבת ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לבבך ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך ולאמך ושרת חיות על ידך היו לטוטפות בעיניך לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך Adonai Elohechem emet. Turning to the Michamocha. Umalchuto Ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe uMiriam u'bnei Yisrael Lecha'anu shira v'simcha raba V'amru kulam Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'chodesh Norat yehilot oseh ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה שאלי יענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ay 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 Baruch atah Adonai God Yisrael
Yom Kippur always makes me feel kind of vulnerable. You know, it's the day that we rehearse for our own death. We refrain from so many of the things that make life juicy, like eating and drinking and all the stuff Rabbi Lizzie talked about earlier. And we wear all white to mimic the burial shrouds that will someday be our final outfit. So instead of thinking about what would happen if this dress rehearsal were the real deal, we can think about why we don't really feel ready yet, or why we might feel ready. This little rehearsal for death is a reminder of the proximity of mortality for me and for the people I care about, and it gives me a chance to reflect on and to feel some fear of dying before I feel ready, or before my loved ones dying before I feel ready. So the antidote to this fear for me is my talit. It's my little protective blanket. Kol Nidre is traditionally the only time of year that we wear our talit at night. And it's like a little ritual security blanket as we enter this day of thinking about our own death. It's our own little sukkat shalom, our own little way of creating a shelter of peace around ourselves to help ease us into practicing for our own death. So as I wrap myself in my talit, I take a deep breath and I think about myself, all of the energy that I have put into this moment, and I think about all of the loved ones whose care and attention I want to wrap up with me. I'll talk about that more tomorrow. And as I look at the tzitzit on the four corners, I think about the people that I have who are spread across the four corners of the earth who I care about. So as we say the Hashkivenu prayer, if you are wearing a talit, maybe you wrap it around yourself a little extra. This is a chance to take what you need and to give what you can. So maybe you put your arms or your talit around someone near you who you care about, and you offer them a little extra protection and a little extra care. Maybe you know someone who is in need of healing of mind, body, or spirit, and you wrap them up in your care. Maybe it's you, and you say your name out loud, and you look to a neighbor for just a moment of a hand on a back. If you're in the chat, maybe you share in the chat who you're thinking of, or you say, me, I need a little extra love tonight. Feel free to say out loud those people you're thinking of who are in need of healing and extra love. We'll bring all of our care and attention and protection to you and to them.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Ufros aleinu Sukkot shalom Ufros aleinu Sukkot shalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Ufros aleinu, Sukkah Shalom echad. Ufros aleinu, Sukkah Shalom echad.
Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim
Ufros aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, HaPoretz Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al kol amo Yisrael, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, Ve'al Yerushalayim. We stand together and we recite this line that comes straight out of the Torah about what we are doing here today. Hey, 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 Kaddish, Yikadal ve'yikadash shemerabah, ve'alma dirah ve'yamli chalutei v'chayachol u'yom echad u'kayedecho beit Yisrael b'galah Le'olam u'lamei al-maya Yivarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitrama ve'yinaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh ve'yitalam she'remelech kudshah What we are doing here together is called services in English. That's funny. I didn't think that was going to be funny. But thank you. It's called services, which actually comes from the Hebrew avodah, which comes from the thing that we used to do as a people back in a temple in Jerusalem, which was service that was performed by priests. And that service was the very intense labor of sacrificing animals on behalf of all the people, and especially on Yom Kippur to effectuate atonement for all of your sins. But we don't do that anymore. We now have avodah shebalev, service of the heart. That's what prayer is called. Prayer replaced sacrifice, and that's what we are doing here. And as I think about services, I am thinking about all of the different ways that it's like a very sick shofar. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. I hope you're okay. Poor little ram. Okay. So I mention this because during the pandemic, I started tipping more. For anybody who was engaged in any kind of service on my behalf, I think the attention to essential workers and to people exerting themselves, doing a service for me, I just realized, like, what am I doing? Withholding 20% for extra special, over the top, over and beyond, care, like 20% baseline. I rate everybody a 10 on Peloton now, all the time. Like, because life is too short, I feel, to withhold praise and to withhold love and to withhold money if I can afford in that moment to, share it with somebody who is offering me a service. And actually in that way, the transaction that was a transaction somehow becomes a little bit less transactional. And I find myself feeling closer to the human who I am in relationship with in that moment, who I may never see again. And so we're about to go into the quiet space of our avodah shebalev, our service of the heart, personal amidah. I want to invite you to not be stingy with your words, with your praise, with your questions, with your tears. That all of that stuff is the stuff that God gets off on. God loves all of that because that's the real stuff. I think God is bored when we are bored. When we do the thing where it's like, oh, they're being quiet up there, I'll just wait and like maybe surreptitiously check my watch while, until the music comes back. I want to ask if you will take the space seriously. And we have slides to kind of guide you through a reflection process that are inspired by the blessings of the Amidah. And this is how it will be over the course of the next day. And I want to invite you to be in that relationship with the one, however you define that higher power, not in a transactional way, like I came here, I checked the box, I can go home, but to have a real experience with that presence beyond each one of us. So we're going to take now a moment to say, source of love, open my lips, let my mouth declare your glory. And then there's a lot of space here. You don't have to stay in your seat. You don't have to stay on your blanket. You can walk around. You can talk out loud. And then you can come back when you're ready. Even if you hear us begin again, feel free to take your own time with this. It's the real stuff. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Source of love, open my lips, and my mouth may declare your glory. May our self-affliction rise to you tonight. May you receive our prayers during the day tomorrow, and may you confirm our forgiveness by evening. May our soul searching rise to you tonight. May you recognize our regrets tomorrow during the day, and may you confirm our cleansing by evening. May our good deeds rise to you in the evening. May you recognize our merits tomorrow, and may you confirm our vindication by tomorrow night. We pick up at the very bottom of page 53.
Enkatenu be'erem Yavo Elecha miboker Yerael Eleinu Adarem
Yale kolenu. Raising our Haneshama lach v'aguf kolach u'salam. Our souls belong to you. You formed our bodies. Have compassion on us. Our souls are yours. Help us live according to your way. We are like glass in the hand of a blower who at will may stretch it out or cut it short. So are we in your hand, source of cleansing. Focus on our good stuff and not on our flaws. Help us focus on each other's good stuff and not on each other's flaws. Salachta lavonenu ulechatutenu v'nechaltanu. And Moses prayed, forgive our transgressions and our sins and accept us as your own. Forgive us, loving parents. Salach lanu avinu ki chatanu, machal lanu malkenu ki fashanu. So one of the blessings, every time you say like a blessing of the pandemic, we can take a seat for a minute. It's always sort of, it's like a loaded term. But over the pandemic, we have been blessed by the regular presence of people who live outside of Chicago showing up on Shabbat and like right now for holidays, showing up at morning minyan. Like of 20 people on the minyan every morning, half of you do not live in Chicago. And it's extraordinary. It's amazing. And you have blessed us with your energy and your contributions and your presence. And so this describes Martin and Felicia. Wherever you are, you should come here so that you can, all right, you're here. All right, great. You want to just come on up here so that we can just trade spots in a second? Yeah, come on up. And maybe they can use your mic. Great. So this describes Martin and Felicia Savage Friedman, who I've gotten to know only because of the pandemic. They're both educators in the field of racial justice. And when explaining to me the work that they do, Martin said to me, yes, of course, we're teaching people not to be racist, but more than that, we're teaching human solidarity. And so I asked the two of them to introduce where we're going next, because where we are going next is the Vidui, Confessional. It's kind of the heart of what this day is about, confessing, naming shortcomings in the ways that we have just plain old screwed up. And at the same time, we are not just naming sins for the sake of naming them, we're hopefully aspiring to be better and thinking about what we want the focus of our year to be. So I asked them to tell us about how they understand this work of confessing.
I'm nervous. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Rabbi Lizzie. Just a couple of things real quick, then I'm going to let Felicia introduce herself. Number one, pray for a Yom Kippur miracle that we come in under time. Second of all, I just want to say that really this is about us staying open. You crying already? This is about us staying open. And I've had to stay open to find Mishkan, which is the place I've been looking for my whole life to practice my Jewishness. So for that, I thank all of you. And I've also stayed open. Now she's really going to start crying. I've really had to stay open so I can find the love of my life, Felicia.
Thank you. I'm just, first of all, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, I'm taking up our time. I'm here at Mishkan because my Besheret is here. Yeah, we didn't. Yes, my soulmate. And I'm back here at Mishkan for Yom Kippur because there's many of you who were very hospitable to me. Actually, for the first time in my 58 years of being in a predominantly white space. So I was like, I'm coming back. So I thank you all.
That's right. That's a big deal, too.
Yeah.
As we enter into our first collective confessional, our first vidui, how are you grounding and centering yourself? Can we all just take a second, take a pause, take one nice big deep breath in? Take a moment to check in with yourself as you exhale. Are you coming from a place of shame and guilt or a place of self-hate and anger? Are you coming from a place of love? Love for humanity, and most importantly, love of yourself. Most of us here have been raised in a dominant white culture that tells us everything is either or, black or white, rich or poor, love or hate, etc., with little or no room for nuance and complexity and no acknowledgement of the fact that we can hold two things that appear to be opposing at the same time. We are told that something is either a sin or not, bad or good, right or wrong. We are told that a sin is bad. Felicia and I recently learned from a wise sage that the Hebrew word for sin is chet, and that it means missing the target and try again or do better next time. That recently was 2 days ago. That wise sage is Rabbi Lizzie.
Shout out to Rabbi
Shout out
Lizzie.
Rabbi Lizzie.
The only real sin we need to confess is that we have become out of alignment with our true selves. We have believed the lies the world has told us about ourselves, about our race and gender and class and sexual orientation and ability and so much more. We have believed the false values given to us about us. That is a sin. We have become disconnected from ourselves. That is a sin. And dishonest with ourselves and unloving to ourselves. Those are sins. We pray to do better this time.
Maybe this year, as we enter into the Ashamnu and Bad God news, we focus on regrets, regretting the choices we have made to not be aligned with our true self. We cannot be in right relationship with others until we are in right relationship with self. Let's look at this long, long list that our ancestors compiled over millennia amidst the old language like wanton and supercilious glances and inappropriate boldness and being abominable. I thought only snowmen were that. Maybe find some that really speaks to you. Find some that really speak to you. Like maybe being dishonest or overeating or quick to anger or drinking too much or abusing any power that you might have. And ask yourself, how could have been being honest and being true and being loving to yourself have kept you from perpetuating this external and internal harm? If you were truly grounded in love, would these things have happened?
By the way, some of the stuff they tell us not to do externally, like revolting and rebelling, well, this world asks for a little rebelling and revolting against systemic oppression, right? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just
yes.
want to make sure I was in the right house. So let's focus instead on how the internal rebellions and revolts against ourselves have harmed ourselves.
That's right. My real regret for this year is that I have not been fully grounded in love for myself And in turn, I have not seen myself in every other human being. And I have not sent love to those that have been hardest for me to love, which might include family members, might include past presidents, but I have not been able to see love in them, and I have to.
Yes. Ashe and amen. My biggest regret is the way I have harmed myself by choosing to hold on to past hurt instead of practicing forgiveness with my family and others who have hurt me.
This year and from now on, as we place our hands to our chests, can we see it as an honoring of connecting to our hearts and not self-flagellation? As we confess, can we see it as making true amends, focusing on forgiveness of self and not shaming of self? As we clear our individual energies, is it not also a collective act? This confessing of self-harm and external harm we have done is a pathway to alignment with self. As we align with self, it is only then that we can be in right alignment with others and we can finally help make this world a better place.
Where are we? I messed up. Now, let's ground ourselves by taking a deep breath in. Inhale and pause. Feel where shame, guilt, and regret might dwell in our bodies. And as you breathe out, exhale. Let out your breath. Bring love and relief to all those places in your bodies. Take another deep breath in and feel a connectedness with your true self. Pause as you exhale and feel a connectedness to all other beings around you. As you return to your regular breathing, realize there is no difference. We are all one.
Confessing from a place of unconditional love is an act that honors the holiness that lives in us all. Today, we confess in the spirit of at one ment with self, with God, and one another.
Yes, thank you.
I want to give you hugs, but I'm wearing a guitar. Oh my God. Thank you. They're going to be teaching a yoga class tomorrow in the afternoon if you want to learn more. We're now going to stand and we go into our first Ashamnu. And Ruvain will lead us. That's okay. Wherever you want.
Ashamnu. Vagadnu. Gazalnu. Dibarnu Dofi. Evinu. Shanu. Masnu. Tafalnu Shaker.
Sararnu.
Sararnu.
Kishinu Oref.
Kishinu Oref.
Rashanu.
Rashanu.
Shichatnu.
Shichatnu.
Tiavnu.
Tiavnu.
Tainu.
Tainu.
Titanu.
Titanu.
We have sinned, we have betrayed, we have stolen, we have slandered, we have rebelled, we have done wrong, we've sinned intentionally and been violent, we have lied, we've given bad advice, we've been deceitful, we have scoffed and been condescending, we have revolted and provoked, we have turned away, we have transgressed, we have acted willfully, we have oppressed, we have been stubborn, we have acted poorly. We've been corrupt. We've been unbearable. We've gone astray and we've led others astray. Sarnu mimitzvotecha umimishpatecha hatovim velo shabalanu va'ata tzadik al kol ha'ba'aleinu ki emet asita va'anachnu hirshanu. We're going to go into our first al-chet. The way this is laid out in this Siddur is in 5 chunks, 5 sections corresponding to each of the 5 services. Tonight, tomorrow morning, Musaf, Mincha, and then Ne'ilah. We're doing 3 of those services. Tonight, Shacharit, Musaf, 4 of them, and Ne'ilah. If you open up, many of you have maybe a different Siddur than this. It's just a laundry list of it's like a wall of sins, like 60 something. So it's actually quite compassionate that this machzor breaks them up into these little chunks. But also what we do is, in addition to reading the prefab ones that are in the book, which I think are timeless, they're timeless sins, we also every year ask you for your true confessions of 5781. And after we read through the ones in the book, we will actually share anonymously, as we always do, some of the things that you shared. And I just, a note about this, because sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're light, sometimes they're deep. They're always personal. They're always reflecting somebody's real, actual life in this room. So if you hear laughter, I assure you, person who was brave enough to submit your own confession, the thing that you failed at but want to do better at next time, I assure you, people are laughing out of recognition, not at you. And so if you actually hear something that resonates, say me too. Own it. Just be like, me too. Let's see what happens. We're on 65. You can read with us in the Hebrew and then in the English. And the custom is to strike or to gently tap your heart with your fist. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha ba'ones uberatzon. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha ba'imut halev. For the sin that we have sinned before you under compulsion and willingly. For the sin that we have sinned before you by lacking compassion. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vli da'at. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'bitui sifatayim. For the sin that we have sinned before you without being aware of what we were doing wrong. For the sin that we have sinned before you with inappropriate speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui arayot. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui uvasater. For the sin that we have sinned before you with improper sexual practices. For the sin that we have sinned before you in public actions and in privately. Al chait shechatanu lefanecha b'da'at u'b'mirma. Al chait shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh. For the sin that we have sinned before you knowingly and deceptively. For the sin that we have sinned before you with offensive speech. Al chait shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah. Al chait shechatanu lefanecha b'harhur halev. For the sin that we have sinned before you by wronging other people. For the sin that we have sinned before you by negative thinking. Ve'al kulam Elohim selichot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu.
Now for some of your true confessions. For the sin of not getting off my tuchus and getting my heart pounding each day.
Me too.
Me too. For the sin of being wasteful when climate change demands the opposite.
All of us. No, me too.
For the sin of not thinking the best of others.
Me too.
For the sin of inaction in the face of injustice.
Me too. Ve'al kulam Elohim selichot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu. Ve'al kulam Elohim selichot selach lanu mechalanu selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu. You can take a seat for a moment. And Mark and Marcy, wherever you are, just come nearby.
In a moment, we're going to stand
And
and
Vicky and
open
Bruce.
the ark. If you are somebody who has been asked to open the ark, I see you making your way here now. Thank you. As we begin to let go of the past year, we acknowledge that things don't always go according to plan. As much as we hold the possibility of what this new year might bring for us, we are also beset with questions. What can I control? And what can I not control? What will I accomplish in this coming year? And how will I fail? Where will I find joy? And where will I experience pain? Will I be sick? Will I be healthy? Will I live? Will I die? And while our time together might provide some insight, some healing, some courage and resolve, it's not going to answer these questions. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't. Our tradition refuses the promise that everything is going to be okay, that somehow we can sit back and watch the magnificence of God's plan unfold in our lives. Instead, we hold ourselves and we hold each other in the uncertainty of what it means to be alive and to be human. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to be worried. It's okay to be anxious about what the future might hold. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to feel unsure about what's around the corner. Faith is not demonstrated through the assertion that everything is going to be okay. Faith is not sitting back and saying, Jesus, take the wheel. That's not us. It really isn't. No, for us, faith is what happens when we say who by fire and who by water, and when floods and wildfires happen, we show up to support one another. Faith is what happens when we don't know who by sword or who by famine, yet we still insist on building a more just, a more fair, and more equitable world. Faith is what happens when we recognize that we cannot control who will live and who will die, yet we still choose life. We choose life, whether it's a day or another year or another decade or another century. We choose life because if you are alive at this moment, if you are here right now, it's because the universe conspired to bring you into being, because there is something that only you can bring to this world. There is something that only you can offer to each other. If you are alive right now, it is because you are needed. I invite you to rise. We open the ark.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Aseimanu leman shemecha, Avinu Malkeinu.
Let's repeat that. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu,
Avinu Malkeinu, Atanu lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Aseimanu leman shemecha, Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kaddish aleinu shana tova. Avinu Malkeinu, batel machshavot soneinu. Our parent, guiding hand throughout the universe, help us start anew and help a good year. Help us have a good year. Help us release anything we're holding on to from last year, impeding our forward movement into this year. Nullify the designs of those who seek our harm. Avinu Malkeinu, banish sword and plague and famine and captivity and destruction and sin and persecution from the people of your covenant and all of your children. Loving parent, compassionate one, wipe the slate clean of our misdeeds. Avinu Malkeinu, write us in the book for a good year, for a good livelihood. Write us in your book as worthy of your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, remember that we are only dust. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on our innocent children. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lema'an harugim al shem kodshecha. Forgive us for the sake of those killed, declaring the holiness of your name. Avinu Malkeinu, forgive us for the sake of those slaughtered, proclaiming your oneness. Avinu Malkeinu, forgive us for the sake of those who went through fire and water to sanctify your name. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lema'anecha im lo lema'anenu. Forgive us for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu. Onenu Vanenu. Ki ein banu masi. Aseh imanu. Tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu. Tzedakah v'chesed. Le'oshienu.
Thank you. So good to see you. And we can all take a seat as we embark on the best version of the dreaded Yom Kippur pitch. But I think you'll like it.
I have a theory that Mishkan Chicago is the Jewish room of requirement. Now, if you aren't big on Kidlit, the room of requirement is a magical room in a magical castle that only appears to people in greatest need. And when it does, it's perfectly suited to meeting that need, whatever it may be, even if the needy person doesn't know what it is. Let me tell you a little bit about how I became a builder at Mishkan, and I think you'll see what I mean. My first taste of Mishkan was last Tisha B'Av in August of 2020, when I limped into Rabbi Dina's Zoom room to hear her read from the Book of Lamentations. I was at my lowest point. Between February and May of last year, I suffered a series of devastating losses, including my husband and my job. I was also still struggling with the physical and financial toll of a severe case of COVID. And as I listened to Rabbi Dina talk about loss and sorrow, I felt something inside of me slowly let go, and I was able to cry for the first time all year. The relief that welled up with my tears was as palpable as it was unexpected, and I started attending other Mishkan programs hoping for more. I wasn't disappointed. The weekday morning minyan gave me a place first to move through all the complicated grief I was experiencing, and then to help others do the same. Tech study groups gave me an opportunity to show off my comp lit chops without being shamed as an insufferable know-it-all. Learning and listening sessions on Israel-Palestine gave me an opportunity to voice opinions and disagree and still feel valued and respected, and that I very much belonged. Mishkan was beginning to feel like a home to more parts of myself than I ever thought possible, even the parts that often feel too tender to engage. My self-doubt and my despair and my rage. Like a verse from the poet Rumi, Mishkan welcomed them all with gentleness and curiosity and spaciousness. But I was skeptical. Things that seem too good to be true usually are, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. I'm sure I'm not the only one here who has firsthand experience of the secret truth of caregiving, which is that it often comes at the expense of the giver. I needed to know that the price of this magical place wasn't someone else's suffering. So I watched the staff interact, and I saw their affection for one another. And then I started asking some pretty pointed questions. And I learned that the only reason I thought I was getting a free lunch was because someone ahead of me in line had already paid my tab. And then I learned exactly how much that lunch cost to make and why. Yet again, Mishkan magically met a need that I didn't even know I had. The need for a spiritual home that aspires to walk all of its talk on belonging and healing and love and justice and fairness and righteousness. A truly magical space. So I became a builder and was welcomed with love and gratitude, even though I could only afford a fraction of the cost of buildership. Mishkan welcomed what I could offer. And now, a year later, a lot has changed. And I am so grateful to be in a position to be a builder and donate what I can on top of that. Over 4,000 people connected with Mishkan in this past year alone, and each of us has a different story. On this night, as we release our unmet obligations from the year past and true up our intentions for the year to come, I have just one question. What can you do to help Mishkan keep making magic?
Go. In the wilderness, there was a people. And in the face of an uncertain future, they needed a place to call their own. So they got to work. And though they didn't have much, they gave what they could. They gave their hands. And then they gave more. They gave their time. And when they'd done that, they gave themselves. Every part of what made them, them. Every part of what makes us, us. And one day, the people looked up and they found he'd built a home. And it wasn't perfect and it wasn't finished, but it was strong and it was built to move with them and it was theirs. Kind of amazing what can happen when a bunch of people take a Jewish metaphor a little too seriously. It's so amazing, in fact, that one day, 10 years later, you look up and you find yourself in the company of so many different people who, day after day, month after month, year after year, brought their whole selves to something greater. And you find yourself within the strength of a community built by believers and agnostics, atheists and spiritual seekers, a place built by people exploring or renewing their Judaism, a place for people in and far beyond Chicago, where you don't have to check parts of your identity at the door, where you can ask big questions, learn, grow, and change. Over the course of a decade that shaped us, we made something strong that is built to move wherever we go and however the world around us changes. And it isn't perfect, and it isn't finished, but it's ours. This is our Mishkan. Let's keep building it together.
Okay. So like 99.9% of what we do is meeting our mission, which is purpose, connection, and inspiration, and helping people do that through classes and Torah and through music and prayer and learning and kids programs. And if you are here tonight, you have been supported by an army of staff and planning that took months and months and months to create this experience here and online, and not just this experience, but like a whole year's worth of this. And we want to do a lot more of it. And we want to keep doing a great job. And so we humbly, yet unabashedly, ask in this holy moment if you will support us tonight as well. And we would love to keep being here for you. So we ask, will you be here for us now? So, okay, last year when we did this, we did this online because everybody was online, and it was actually really fun. It was, and we did a survey after the high holidays, and we said, what did you like most about high holidays? That even if we're back in person, we should still do the version from the pandemic. And a lot of you said the pledge drive. The thing with the phones and the little thermometer where we could all see the number go up and we could like participate in this thing all together and feel like we were in kind of a game and we were all on the same team. That was fun. So we're doing it. So I'm going to ask you to do an unorthodox thing, but here you are. So you know where you are. This rabbi is asking you to take out your phone right now. I'm going to do it with you. This is what Yom Kippur is about, transforming your habits. We're about to use our phones for something holy for once. Maybe if you start donating to Mishkan tonight, you will do something else holy, like call your mother. But here's what you're going to do with your phone. You're going to open up your texts. You could do it with me here. I'm demonstrating, but in real time. Open up a new text and text to 44321. 44321. Oh, it's already saved in my phone from last year. Anybody else have that experience? Okay, no, that's fine. It will be next year. Text bring it 5782. Bring it 5782. Bring it. All one word. And then send. And it's going to send you a link. Go to that link and let's make magic together. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of singing and give you time to think about how you might want to support the community this year. If you want to pledge now and pay later, if you want to give with like a donor advised fund or something like that, or a check. So Rhonda is here somewhere. Where are you, Rhonda? Do you want to? She's on the stairs. People are on the stairs, and they have actual just physical pledge cards if you would prefer to do this analog. But I tell you, if you do that, you won't see the number go up on the little thermometer. That's all I'll say. But they're there, and that's completely fine and awesome. Oh, wait, hang on. I need to do this. I need to actually do this. I'm gonna do it too. I love the cheering for each other. That's so awesome. I'm doing it too. Sorry? Oh, and you can also donate anonymously. It doesn't have to show your name up there if you don't want it to. FYI. But Mandy Patinkin just donated? Mandy! Mandy, I love all your work with NIF, just so you know. So this is going to be like popcorn. We're just going to do that like microwave popcorn. We're going to keep doing this now until it gets really, really slow. But thank you, everyone.
Just take a break and breathe, and then pick up with the B part. Oh my God. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you all. Thank you all who are here. Thank you all who are far. Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts. That was quite exhilarating. And I know Rhonda was sweating bullets that whole time, but she feels great right now. Seriously, give yourselves a round of applause. Now, pro tip for all your friends who are coming tomorrow but didn't come tonight, or who are coming
back tomorrow. You can do this as many times as you want. It turns out you can, if you're feeling like, oh God, I wish I could do more for the world. How might I do something right now? 44321, bring it 5782. Actually, the link is just sitting in your text, waiting for you to think about it later. Seriously, that was incredible and will make so much possible in this year to come. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Okay, we can take a seat. You know what? As long as we're clapping, can we give a huge hand to this davening team right now? Oh my God. Oh my God. Some of these folks have been in the community for the whole 10 years that we have existed. Some of these folks, I've done your weddings. Some of these folks were at our first service. Some came last year. Some came this year, came back. Emma and Benji and Ruvain and Talius and Matthew and Lauren and Emily, Sam, Stephen, Aaliyah, Rachel, Rabbi Stephen, Rabbi Dina, and Abby Cortran. We're so honored to get to do this all together, and you all are quite amazing. Thank you for your stamina and your voices. All right. Okay. So now I'm supposed to give a sermon, right? I did a gap year when I was 18 in Israel, and I lived on a kibbutz near a place called Megiddo, which is the Hebrew word giving rise to the Greek word Armageddon, which means the end of the world. And the Armageddon, according to the book of Revelations, was supposed to happen at Megiddo. So I was there in 1989, and for those of you who remember 1989, there was this global fervor about Y2K, which for those of you who don't remember Y2K, that was everybody's fear that the computer systems were going to fail when 1999 turned over into 2000, which ended up not being a thing. And what evangelical Christians from America were thinking about, where I was at Megiddo, was Armageddon. And they were coming with lawn chairs and coolers and had t-shirts for sale, and they were going to be there for the rapture. And, Armageddon is like the battle of good versus evil. You wouldn't show up for that if you were not on the right side of that battle. I was very intrigued by all of this. I didn't know I would be a religious studies major, but I found this fascinating. Of course, December 31st, 1999 came, and what happened that night was nothing. And that said, I'm not sure the apocalypse didn't come that night. I just think it's possible that Armageddon, which is the sort of reducing of all of complex human society into good versus evil, and that being a necessary piece of the cataclysmic end of the world, I'm not sure that didn't happen. I think it might be happening. I think it might be happening right now, and you and I are witnessing it, and you and I are part of it. Might be happening over a few decades or a few generations, but happening nonetheless. And when I think about what our world looks like right now, from a distance, actual literal plague, destruction and displacement of whole towns because of wildfires and flooding, rampant disparities between rich and poor, the insidious persistence of racism and misogyny and trans and homophobia in this country, and the pace of changing policy in our countries that is so glacially slow as to mock the urgency of the moment, it has occurred to me that perhaps it's not just COVID that we are going to have to learn to get used to living with over time. We're actually going to have to get used to living with the end of the world as we know it. And contrary to the REM song, I don't feel fine. I don't feel fine. Whenever I think about it, it makes me want to sit on the floor and cry. Shana Tova. That almost happened, but okay, look, Jews are not strangers to living through times that feel like the end of the world. We're not. We have seen our world end in destruction, you know, one after the next of our worship spaces from ancient times until the present day. We have been, you know, we have put down roots in countries all over the world and then been forced out of them, you know, been exiled from them or forced to convert in order to stay. Actually, legend has it that the words of Kol Nidre originated in response to Marranos, the Jews of Spain, who needed a mechanism for relinquishing the vows that they made to the Catholic Church. Shvikin, shvitin, batelin, muvutalin, nullified and void are these vows. They have no claim over me. The speaker admits that she has been forced to say and do things that compromise her integrity in the face of the end of her world. And yet, we come together as a group and we say these words and we pray that maybe next year we won't compromise our values quite as much. And even if we don't know exactly what that will look like, that is the intention we bring into the evening and the formulation of the words themselves. Haba aleinu, we look forward to the next Yom Kippur. And preemptively nullifying vows is actually an act of hope that in fact, next year at Yom Kippur, we will be here to see it. Much of Jewish literature takes place in the face of great destruction. The Mishnah and the Talmud, which are our handbooks for modern Judaism, were written in the aftermath of the greatest defeat the Jewish people ever had known, which was the Roman military occupation of the land of Israel that ultimately resulted in the exile of the Jews from our land. And those battles were so protracted over months and months, the people inside the walls of the city starved to death, and there was blood running in the streets. And while these memories were still fresh, and the once great temple in Jerusalem was reduced to a heap of stones, the Talmud describes a group of scholars going for a walk through the streets of Jerusalem. Rabbi Akiva is walking with Rabban Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and Rabbi Yehoshua, and they approach Mount Scopus. And Gamliel and Elazar and Yehoshua begin to cry when they see a fox dart out of the ruins of the temple. And Rabbi Akiva laughs. They say to Akiva, "How can you laugh?" Akiva says to them, "Why do you cry?" They say, "When the most sacred place reserved only for the high priest is trampled by foxes, shall we not cry?" Which is to say, when the world as we know it has been destroyed, is despair not an appropriate response? How can you laugh? And Akiva says, quoting the Bible, the prophet Uriah, in the time of the first temple, prophesied that Jerusalem would be laid waste. But then the prophet Zechariah in the second temple prophesied that old men and women would return to the city of Jerusalem and once again sit on her streets. Until the first prediction, prophecy of destruction was fulfilled, I was afraid that the second prophecy of redemption would not be fulfilled. But now that I see that the prophet of Uriah has come to pass, I am confident that the prophecy of Zechariah will also come to pass. And the sages found comfort in Akiva's words. What leads some of us to optimism and hope, and others of us to despair of the possibility of things getting better or things changing? You know, to sit on the floor and cry. So here's one theory from Rabbi Yossi Ives. Akiva's friends, Rabbis Gamliel, Elazar, and Yehoshua, they had come from families of prestige and status in the before times. It was very hard for them to imagine themselves living different lives than the ones they had been born into. The new situation was an absolute catastrophe for the lives that they knew. Rabbi Akiva, by contrast, was the child of converts. He didn't even learn to read until he was 40, a feat he compared to water penetrating a hole through a rock with slow drip by steady drip. Yet water can penetrate a hole in a rock, drip by steady drip. And human beings can overcome unimaginable odds and great adversity to change the course of their lives and change the course of history. Rabbi Akiva didn't just know that intellectually, he had lived it. And by the end of his life, which we read about in the section Eila Ezkara, These I Remember, the martyrology that we read on Yom Kippur, we read about the end of Rabbi Akiva's life where he is burned at the stake for teaching Torah with the Shema on his lips. But by the end of his life, he had raised up thousands and thousands of students to carry forward a new kind of Judaism. And it's because of people like Rabbi Akiva that we are now here observing Yom Kippur, even though I am not a high priest, though sometimes I like to think I am a priestess. But I do not have a goat to sacrifice on your behalf to effectuate your atonement. And we don't have a temple, either here or in Jerusalem, actually, to sacrifice it inside of. It is people like Rabbi Akiva who imagined the radical possibility that each one of us is actually empowered to save ourselves, to intercede on our own behalf, that Judaism need not rely on the priesthood for intercession with God or on a central location where God's presence rests exclusively. Rabbi Akiva helped liberate the idea of God to meet us wherever we are, to hold us accountable, to support us, to love us and forgive us wherever we are, whether that's a temple in Jerusalem or a synagogue in Tokyo or a tent in Chicago. These rabbis, Rabbi Akiva, first and foremost among them, created a whole new religion on the rubble of the old one. And let's be clear, it was a better religion. It's a better religion. It has stood the test of time. They also called this new religion Judaism, by the way. They were marketing experts also and knew they would have brand recognition for this new religion if they kept the old name. But they built into this new religion spiritual practices designed to help us build resilience and flexibility and the ability to laugh in the face of destruction, like Rabbi Akiva, into the tradition, and not laugh like a dismissive laugh, but laugh, a kind of laugh that accepts the inherent challenge of this life, which is to reckon with the inevitable loss and impermanence of this world that often feels like destruction. Next Monday night, we'll begin one of Judaism's most powerful tactile meditations on impermanence, in which we build something beautiful and enjoy it for a week and then destroy it. It's called Sukkot. For a week, we are told as a people to live outside in this structure called a sukkah that only needs to have two full walls and a roof that's made of natural material through which you can see the stars. So this is not a kosher sukkah. This is too stable. And Rabbi Alan Liu writes, the sukkah, this is not a house. It's the outline of a house. It exposes the idea of a house as an illusion. The idea of a house is that it gives us security, shelter, haven from the storm, but no house can really offer us this. No building of wood and stone can ever afford us protection from the disorder always lurking around us. No shell we put between us and the world can ever really keep us secure from it, and we know this. And we never really believed this illusion, and that's why we never really feel truly secure anywhere. In a sukkah, a house that is open to the world, a house that freely acknowledges that it cannot be the basis of our security. In this house, we let go of this need. The illusion of protection falls away, and suddenly we're flush with our life, feeling our life, following our life, doing its dance one step after another. So rather than impermanence being scary, our tradition says, embrace it with joy and with laughter. So this holiday is therefore referred to by the tradition as Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy. Like Buddhists creating intricate mandalas out of colored sand for months or maybe years and then destroying them, we go inside of this fun little fort And we eat and we drink and we sing and we hang paper chains and we make memories. And maybe you sleep out there, you read out there, you live out there for a whole week. And then at the end of the week, you destroy it, you take it down. And hopefully we have learned throughout the course of this week that security comes in the sense of being connected to the people we were in that sukkah with, rather than the structure of the thing itself. Now, of course, there are different kinds of loss and destruction. There is the eternal, spiritual, and biological truth of impermanence and death. And that's what we contend with here on Yom Kippur. And there is also human-caused catastrophe. And that's sort of where I started tonight. That said, I think the capacity for dealing with whatever is in front of us comes from the same place inside. Dr. Edith Eva Eger is a 94-year-old Jungian therapist who was born in Hungary in 1927 and was taken to Auschwitz as a teenager. And she describes this in her memoir, The Choice. Highly recommend. Immediately upon getting there, both of her parents were selected for death. And she describes being put in the selection line and not knowing whether her fate would be life or death. Any moment could be the last one, she writes. So why care? Why invest? And yet, if this is my very last moment here on earth, do I have to waste it in resignation and defeat? Must I spend it as if I'm already dead? We never know what these lines mean, she tells the girl next to her. What if the unknown could make us curious instead of gut us with fear? What if the unknown future could make us curious instead of gut us with fear, says the person in line at Auschwitz. She talks about the people who made it through Auschwitz and describes them as people who had something more than themselves to live for. A vision of the life that they might have when it all ends. She thought about reconnecting with her high school boyfriend, Eric. She thought about living for her sisters, one of whom was in the camp with her. She and her two sisters survived the war. Not everyone who had hopes and dreams made it, of course, but it was very hard to make it to the end, to put one foot in front of the other day after day for years with a gun to your back and the constant threat of death if you did not have a reason for living. Someone or something to make sacrifices for, to share your crust of bread with. Making it through hard times as the world is falling apart is a matter of having hope. Not magical, fantastical hope. Rather, hope that's based in the thing you can do right now toward the goal or the vision that you can't quite see, but you believe is possible. The racial justice author and activist DeRay McKesson writes, "We are always engaged in make-believe. The things we're fighting for, you've never seen before. When you think about every kid being able to read and write, you've never seen that before. We have to start imagining something different, but it's hard. We are engaged in this deep make-believe because the things we're fighting for, we've never lived through and never seen. And this is true for universal literacy as it is for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and making massive and immediate investments in sustainable energy and making the personal and corporate sacrifices that will need to be made in order to save our planet. This is true for creating a truly multiracial democracy, and it is true for creating lasting and sustainable peace in the Middle East. All of this requires a kind of audacious hope and imagining a future that we have not yet seen." DeRay continues, "When Martin Luther King said that the moral arc bends toward justice, that's a statement about faith. But when we say that the arc bends because people bend it, that's a statement of hope. The notion that the world can be a better place, but we have to make it happen. And that hope isn't magic, that hope is work. It's understanding that this isn't the only way the world can be, not resigning yourself to it. People made most of this stuff up. And because people made it up, we can do something different. That doing something different is hope in action. It is avodah. It is sacred work. It is service. Not sitting on the sidelines and waiting for other people to act. Not sitting on the sidelines debating whether, in fact, we are witnessing what we think we're witnessing. While we debate, there are others who have been and will continue to exploit our inaction in the service of profit and gain and growth at the expense of our world. So time is of the essence. We should, of course, feel. We do, of course, feel like sometimes we want to sit on the floor and cry. And we should. We have a whole Jewish holiday for that. Even in the story with Rabbi Akiva that I told earlier, when he and his friends first encounter the ruins at the temple, they rend their garments in the traditional Jewish expression of mourning. But then he laughs. And then he teaches his students a new way forward that honors the memory of the past while creating a different, better, more sustainable, more resilient future for everyone who follows. Our tradition calls us to imagine a future that is not just restoring what has been and what has been lost, but imagining a future radically different through eyes renewed and redeemed. We are required by our tradition to join in the sacred act of imagining ourselves into the future and then working and joining in the holy and often thankless, grueling day-to-day work of creating it. The poet Mary Oliver writes, "How blue is the sea, how blue is the sky, how blue and tiny and redeemable everything is, even you, even your imagination." May you be inscribed and sealed for life and for health and for inspiration and the will to imagine a better future that we can all live into this year. Gamar Chatima Tova.
When the world was ending, I'd hold you in my arms and we'd talk about the places we'd never been. When the world was ending, we'd hold on to the past, 'cause it's all we thought that we would ever see. But then the sun came right back, and the birds sang as if nothing had happened. And it's all right, it's okay, we will get another day to begin again, to begin again, to begin again. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I know that I will try to begin again, to begin again, to begin to live and love and breathe again. When the world was ending, we looked up at the sky and we talked about the last song that we'd play. So far from comprehending, they lift us to the stars, never seen each other from so far away. right back. And the kids played as if nothing had happened. And it's all right, it's okay. We will get another day to begin again, to begin again, to begin again. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I know that I will try to begin again, to begin again, to begin to live and love and breathe again and cry because I'm happy and hold my friends like long lost lovers. Be kind to me and love each other. The world keeps spinning on, and it's all right, it's okay. We will get another day. Ooh, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I do know that we can try to begin again, to begin again, to begin to live and love. And it's all right, it's okay. We will get another day. Ooh, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I do know that we can try to begin again, to begin again, to begin to live and love. And it's all right, it's okay. We will get another day. Ooh, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I do know that we can try to begin again, to begin again, to begin to live and love and breathe again.
Let's stand. Wait, do we have announcements now? Is there like an announcement thing we're supposed to do? All right, amazing. Let's stand. We're going into Aleinu, V'hashevota. Let our hearts be turned.
V'hashevota, v'hashevota, el levavecha, el levavecha, Ki Adonai, Elohim, Elohim, Hashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Havaya, Ki Elohim, Hashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Havaya, Ki Elohim, Ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz, Vayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo, U'shemo.
Woo! Can take a seat.
All right, you holy angels, it's time to start to bring it back to earth for the evening with Kaddish Yatom, which interestingly doesn't talk at all about death. Instead, it affirms God's presence with the living, that there is goodness and greatness and majesty and wonder among us, who are not angels really, but just living people. So even though we are trying today to mimic what it would be like to be a heavenly creature who cannot die, who is not really alive, we end with Kaddish Yatom as a reminder to ourselves that we can and should come back to this body that feels good things and feels pain and feels loss. It reminds us that we have people who are worth missing, and we are worth missing ourselves. That it is a blessing to hold on to life for as long as we can with wonder and awe. So as we take a moment to say Kaddish Yatom, maybe close your eyes and picture someone who you are missing tonight who is not with us. If you are online and you'd like to share in the chat the names of who you are thinking of, you can do so. If you'd like to just say out loud as you stand for Kaddish Yatom, whose soul you are bringing with you into this tent or this lawn this evening, I invite you to do that, to stand if you would like to for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Ulamei Amaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela ule'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May all their memories be blessings for you.
Amen, amen.
Okay, now we have some announcements for you.
But just shorties.
Just quick ones. So tomorrow morning at 9:15, we will be back in this tent for family services. And then main services begin here at 10:30 in the morning.
And while we're observing our fasting in public spaces, tomorrow is supposed to be hot, it's supposed to be sunny, which is a good thing for our services, but not always a good thing for your body. So if you need water, we're gonna have water on hand, no shame in taking care of you. It is a commandment in our tradition that you actually take care of your health first. So for whatever reason, you may not be fasting from food or from water, no judgment on each other. Do what you need for your body.
It is also a commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. And we have over 100 people between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur who volunteered to do things like guide you through the building and do registration. And can we just, first of all, just have a round of applause for all of those volunteers? So I want to say, just be nice to those people, all right? Like they're, nobody's paying them to go inside and miss the service. They want to be there, and it helps when people are friendly. So thank you for contributing to a friendly environment, even as the undercaffeinated and ornery among us, sort of become more and more abundant over the course of the day. We'll really make an effort. Okay. You can go ahead and put your machzor, if you borrowed one, back on the table where you found it. And then, of course, tomorrow, if you want one again, they're on the way in on the inside. As you're leaving, you have heard me maybe say this before if you come to Mishkan on Kol Nidre. Fasting is an opportunity to be mindful about what goes into your body and the sensations you have, when you're feeling hungry and thirsty physically. thinking about what you might eat, when you finally do eat, or what you might do with the money that you're not spending on lunch today. I also want to recommend, we're going to send you a link after the holiday to contribute to the Ezra Multi-Service Center, since we weren't in a place where we could do like a real hygiene and food collection like we usually do. So go online and you can make a contribution. In any case, we can pay attention to those physical sensations, but there's something else you can observe that has to do with your mouth, and that's what comes out of your mouth or does not come out of your mouth. It is a spiritual practice to observe speech called Shmirat Halashon, observing kind speech, gentle speech, no speech at all. And Yom Kippur is an awesome opportunity to be mindful of speech, at the same time as you may be mindful of other physical sensations that have to do with what's coming into and leaving your mouth. So I want to invite you, when this service ends, which will be momentarily, not to just like launch straight into commentary, whatever's at the top of your brain, but actually just observe your thoughts, notice them. Notice what you eventually feel compelled to share, and why. Is it positive or negative? How does it make you feel to share that thing? How does it feel to just let a thought pass? How much of our speech is just filling space, and what might emerge in the space if you don't speak and you see what happens? So, once you leave the tent and you go up the stairs, it's up to you. Usually I say until you get to your car, until you get home, really try. I think this is hard. This is hard to do. But I invite you, if somebody wants to talk to you and you actually want to try to observe the speech thing, just sort of smile and point at your mouth. All right. We are going to close out with the angel song of protection, that you be cared for and protected by all of the angels, Michael and Gabriel and Uriel and Shechinat El at your head, that you be protected and cared for on your way home, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. B'Shem Hashem Elohei Yisrael Miyamini Michael Umismoli Gabriel Umilfanai Uriel Umeachorai Raphael Ve'al Roshi Shechinata. Good night, everyone. Lila Tov. Hashem Elohei Yisrael Miyamini Michael Umismoli Gabriel Milfanai Uriel Menachorai Raphael Ve'al Roshi Shechinata. night, everyone.